So in today's lecture, we will be seeing how to make pure pneumatic circuits. When I say pure pneumatic circuits, I mean that there is no electricity involved. So no electro-pneumatic part will be used in this circuit. Only compressed air will be used to make all the motions possible. So if you know, you should know by now that whenever we are doing any kind of a pneumatic circuit, in our syllabus there are two main actuators. Okay, so these two actuators are a single acting cylinder and a double acting cylinder, right? As you can see clearly, a single acting cylinder has only one connection while a double acting cylinder has two connections. So what happens whenever you have a single acting cylinder, whenever you want to push the single acting cylinder forward, you give compressed air to this point. As soon as there is compressed air in this point, this spring gets compressed because of the force of the compressed air, and this piston moves forward. When the compressed air is removed from this point, the spring forces the piston back and the piston moves backward. So in this way, you have the forward and backward motion of the piston. In case of a double acting cylinder, if you put compressed air into the left side and take air out from the right side, then the piston will move forward. Similarly, when you want the piston to move backward, put compressed air into the right side and take the air out from the left side. Then the piston will move backward. Okay. So to operate a single acting cylinder, you have to control only one port. To operate a double acting cylinder, you have to control two ports. Hence, for a single acting cylinder, we need a valve which has only one output port. Okay. Again, I will repeat. In single acting cylinder, there is only one port that must be controlled. Hence, we need a valve which has only one output port. Right? So for this, we use a 3x2 direction control valve. Right? 3x2 direction control valve has only one output port. There are two source ports. One is connected to compressor and three is connected to exhaust. So we will attach this over here. As I said, one is always connected to compressor and three is connected to exhaust. So 3 will be to exhaust. So this will be the overall diagram of the single acting cylinder. For now, I will remove this double acting cylinder. So this is the basic control diagram for a single acting cylinder. Now see, if we start the simulation, so see, if we actuate this, so what is going to happen? The position of the valve changes. As soon as the position of the valve changes, compressed air goes up, and because of that, piston moves forward. Just to show this, I will just make it a bit slow. Okay. Again, when I deactuate it, when I deactivate the valve, the spring forces the compressed air out through the exhaust and the piston moves backward. Moving forward, compressed air is going in, compressed air is coming out to the exhaust and the piston moves backward. So this is how a single acting cylinder is controlled. Now, as we discussed in the previous lecture, there are several different methods of actuating this valve itself. What are the different methods? There are some manual methods. These manual methods include this. This is what? This is the symbol for push button. So whenever you have push button on one side, you will need a spring on the other side. So this is the symbol for push button operated 3x2 direction control valve. Okay, instead of push button, it is possible that you may have a switch. Okay, so for switch, this will be the symbol, right? So switch on either side. Then instead of switch, you can have something which is known as a limit switch. Okay, so what is limit switch? I told you that day itself that limit switch is similar to a push button. The only difference is that in push button, humans have to push the push button, but in case of limit switches, it is the piston motion. A piston comes and hits certain part, and because of that, this limit switch is activated. Limit switches are used to position, to know the position of the piston. right? All this was covered in the last lecture. Then another method of actuation can be what? Another method of actuation can be pilot operated. When I say pilot operated, it means what? That compressed air will be used to change the position of the valve. If compressed air comes from the left side, the left position will be activated. If compressed air comes from the right side, right position will be activated. So this is how the different methods of actuation in case of pure pneumatic circuit system. So in our case, we will be using the pilot actuation for pure pneumatic circuits, right? So in your syllabus, you do not have the pilot actuation of a single acting cylinder. So first of all, we will see how to make the circuit for a double acting cylinder, for one double acting cylinder. And after we complete for one double acting cylinder, we'll make the circuits for two double acting cylinders, right? So now we will learn how to make a pure pneumatic circuit, a complete pure pneumatic circuit for double acting cylinder. Okay, so first of all, if we want to make a circuit for double acting cylinder, then we will require a double acting cylinder, right? So remember, when you are drawing in exam, this should be the diagram for double acting cylinder, right? No C over here, no arrow over here, right? This should be the diagram for double acting cylinder. But right now, because of the requirements of this software, I have to draw this C over here. Okay, I will explain this C to you afterwards. But remember that this is the diagram requirement for this software, right? So now I have to operate this double acting cylinder. Double acting cylinder has two ports. So I to operate this cylinder, I need a valve which has two output ports, right? So what is the best example? I can use either a 4 by 2 valve or a 5 by 2 valve. 4 by 2 valve also has two output ports, 2 and 4 over here. Similarly, 5 by 2 also has two output ports, 2 and 4 over here. But in case of pneumatics, we use a 5 by 2 valve. And in case of hydraulics, we use a 4 by 2 valve. So as we are doing a pneumatic circuit, we will delete this 4 by 2 valve and we will be using this 5 by 2 direction control valve, right? So remember, whenever you draw a double acting cylinder, to control the double acting cylinder, pneumatic double acting cylinder, we will require a 5 by 2 direction control valve. Now with this, we will make the connections. See, we will connect the left port of the 5 by 2 valve to the left port of the cylinder and the right port of the 5 by 2 valve to the right port of the cylinder. So these connections are done, right? As I always say, the one number should be connected to your compressor. One number should be connected to compressor. Over here, 5 number should be connected to exhaust and 3 number should also be connected to exhaust. Always remember, one number is connected to compressor and the other ports on the source side are connected to exhaust, right? Now, how should the position? Okay, first of all, we will just see the simulation of this. Okay, see, initially compressed air is going to the right side, so the piston is in retracted position. As soon as I do this, compressed air went to the left side and piston moved forward. As soon as I do this, compressed air goes to the right side, air comes out from the left side and the piston moves backwards. So this is happening right now. Now what is the problem? Now the problem is how to actuate these valves. Right now, see, there is no method of actuation. We are doing it with mouse, but physically, if we make this circuit in the real life, how are we going to change the positions of the valves? So we need some method. That method can be what? That method can be either push button. See, I am just putting a push button over here. So now see, as long as I keep this push button pushed, okay, my mouse is currently pressed. As long as this push button is pressed, the piston is forward. As soon as I leave my mouse, the piston comes backwards. So I press it, it remains forward. I leave it, the piston comes backward, right? Instead of this, I can use switch. Instead of push button, I can use switches, right? So now if I turn it on, I just have to click it and leave it. So even if I leave it, the piston remains forward. If I want to bring it back, I have to click the switch again and the piston will come back, right? So this is how I can control the double acting cylinder manually. But in industry, we do not want complete manual control. We want what? We want some degree of automation. For example, let us say in our case, we are making some kind of a pounding device. Okay, so what is this piston doing? Once we turn on the system, the piston should move forward, pound whatever is to be pounded, and the piston should move backward. A good example of this kind of machine can be your stamping machine. Okay, see, for you to visualize, let us see this, that there is a conveyor belt. On this conveyor belt, there are some kind of things which are moving forward. Okay, so these are moving forwards. So these are moving forward. It is necessary that these things have to be compressed, or something has to be done. Their shape has to be changed, or some kind of design has to be put on them, or some kind of a label has to be put on them, right? So to do that, what is the requirement? That there is this piston cylinder arrangement over here. So whenever this thing comes forward, this object comes forward, this piston should move down. This piston moves down, stamps this thing, whatever has to be done is done, and then the piston moves upward. Next object comes, again piston moves downwards, piston moves upwards. Again next object comes, piston moves downwards, piston moves upwards. Now the speed of the conveyor belt will be fixed, so the objects will be coming at a fixed speed. So if we can control the timing of this piston, we can control the stamping of these objects, right? So this is exactly what we want our piston to do, that our piston should come forward once and then go back, then again come forward, then go back, then again come forward, then go back, and this process should continue infinitely. Once the system is started, this process should continue infinitely. So we have to make a circuit that once I turn it on, it will keep on stamping till the end. Okay, so this type of circuit is known as A plus A minus circuit. Now what do you understand by A plus and what do you understand by A minus? See, what is happening? First of all, the piston is coming outwards, right? First of all, the piston is coming downwards over here, down. So this downward motion, in which, see, this is my cylinder. Inside my cylinder, there is my piston. The motion in which the piston moves outwards is known as positive motion, and the motion in which the piston moves inwards is known as negative motion. Okay, the piston is moving inwards, this is known as negative motion. So there is positive motion and there is negative motion. Now if I name my piston as, or if I name my piston cylinder arrangement as cylinder A, okay, so the forward motion will be termed as A plus and the backward motion will be termed as A minus, right? So in my circuit, what is happening? First there is forward motion, outward motion, then reverse motion, outward, inward, outward, inward. So outward motion is symbolized by what? Outward motion is symbolized by A plus, inward motion is symbolized by A minus. So my system is continuously doing A plus, A minus motion. So I have to make a circuit in which as soon as I press the start button, the piston should move forward. After the piston has reached its ultimate point, the maximum point possible, the piston should move backward. Again, when the piston has reached its ultimate reverse point, it should again move forward, then backward, then forward, then backward. So this should continue, right? So first of all, before making the circuit, we will write these steps in English. Okay, so what should happen? Step 1, piston should move outwards, right? The piston should move outwards. Then what will happen? Once the piston reaches its most outward position, that piston has reached its extreme position. Piston has reached extreme outward position. Once the piston reaches its extreme outward position, what should happen? The piston should start moving backwards. Piston should move backwards. Now that the piston, so this piston moving forwards is what? A plus. Piston moving backwards is what? A minus. Now the piston has started moving backwards. It should move backwards as long as it does not reach its most inward position, right? So as soon as it reaches its inward position, piston has reached extreme inward position. Right? So the piston has reached its extreme inward position. It has retracted back completely. After that, again the piston should move outwards, right? Again, this step should take place. So this is how the system should continuously operate. So what do we require? We require some way of knowing that the piston has reached its extreme outward position and that the piston has reached its extreme inward position. So we need some kind of a sensor kind of a thing which will tell us that the piston has reached its outward position. Now it is time to change the direction of the valve so that the piston starts moving inwards. Again, we need some kind of a sensor which will sense that it has reached its extreme inward position. So now again the valve's position must be changed so that the piston starts moving forward. So we need two sensor kind of things, but we will not be using any kind of a proximity sensor. Why? Because this is a pure pneumatic circuit. We cannot use sensors in this case, right? So in pure pneumatic circuits, rather than using sensors, we use limit switches, right? Limit switch. So what does a limit switch do? A limit switch uses the position of the piston to turn on and turn off the valve, and this valve can control the flow of air. I have explained limit switch in detail in the last lecture, okay, the last lecture that we had. So this limit switch can be used to change the position of the valve and thus change the position of the piston, right? So now where should these limit switches be put? See, this is my system, right? This over here is my system. Let me draw it over here again. Okay, so this is my cylinder. Inside my cylinder, this is my piston. Let us say that this is the complete retracted position of the piston, and when the piston comes completely forward, this is the complete forward position of the piston. So I need to put a sensor over here so that whenever the piston is completely inside, this will be active, and whenever the piston is completely outside, this will be active, right? So in pneumatics, the position, complete inward position of the piston is denoted by A1, and the complete outward position of the piston is denoted by A2. So we need two limit switches, A1 and A2, which will be used to change the position of the valve and thus allow for the motion of the piston. Okay, so this circuit we will now be drawing in our software. So this is our initial circuit. In this initial circuit, what we were doing, we were using limit switches. But now what we have to do, we have to make this automatic, right? So see, what are we going to do? First of all, we need two limit switches. Because this is a double acting cylinder, we will need two limit switches. So what were the limit switches? First one was A1, which is at what? 0 mm, let us say that the stroke of this cylinder is 200 mm. So where will be the A2 cylinder, A2 positions limit switch? A2 limit switch will be at the extreme end, 100 mm distance from the 100 mm after piston has moved. So here will be A2 leftmost, and rightmost will A1 will be leftmost and A2 will be rightmost. So A1 limit switch is telling you what? A1 limit switch is telling you that the piston is completely retracted, completely inside. A2 is telling us what? A2 is telling us that the piston is completely outwards. It is completely outside. So now we have to draw these limit switches also. Here we have just marked the limit switch position. That limit switch will be at this point and limit switch will be at this point. What are limit switches? As I have told you again and again, limit switches are nothing but 3x2 direction control valves. The only difference is the actuation is with a limit switch, right? So this is my limit switch, 3x2 direction control valve. We need how many limit switches? We need 2 limit switches. There is A1 and there is A2, right? So let this be A1 and let this be A2, right? In real life, see, in real life what we will do, rather than doing like this, we are going to do what? See, we will rotate it by 90 degree. See, A1 will be kept over here. Just give me a minute. This is my A1. Okay. So A1 will be kept over here. This will be my A1 limit switch. Similarly, A2 limit switch will be kept over here. Okay. Let us rotate it further by 180 degree. I can put A2 limit switch over here. So whenever the piston moves forward, it will operate. Whenever the piston is inwards, completely in, A1 limit switch will be pushed, and when the piston comes completely out, A2 limit switch will be pushed, right? But drawing these limit switches like this makes the diagram very cumbersome, right? We cannot easily read this diagram. So to make this diagram more readable, what do? We just mark the position of the limit switches A1 and A2, and we draw the limit switches below only. Okay, so this is how the system works. Now see what should happen. This is my A1 and this is my A2, right? So whenever A1 is sensed, okay, first of all, what should happen? First of all, the piston should move outwards. For the piston to move outwards, this position, left position of the valve should be active. Whenever the left position of the valve is active, the piston will move forward. As soon as it reaches A2, what is going to happen? That it has reached the maximum possible distance. Now it should start moving backward. To move backward, what should happen? The right position of the valve should be active, right? To move forward, left position of the valve should be active. To move backward, right position of the valve should be active. So what should we do? Whenever we want to move the piston forward, we should activate the left position. Now, when should the piston move forward? The piston should move forward when the A1 position sensor is sensed. What does that mean? When is A1 position sensor sensed? When the piston is completely inside. When the, see over here we had written na, okay, see over here, the piston should move outwards. It will keep on moving outwards till it reaches its extreme outward position, which is what? Extreme outward position is A2. As soon as it reaches A2, it should start moving backwards. It will continue to move backwards till what? It reaches its extreme inward position. What is its extreme inward position? A1. As soon as A1 sensor is sensed, what should happen? The piston should start move outwards. So when should the piston start moving outwards? When A1 sensor is sensed. And when should the piston start moving inwards? When A2 sensor is sensed. When A1 sensor is sensed, the piston should start moving outwards. It will continue moving outwards till what? Till A2 sensor is sensed. As soon as A2 sensor is sensed, what should happen? The piston should start moving backwards. So this is the circuit that we are going to make over here. So whenever A1 sensor is sensed, what should happen? The piston should start moving forwards. A1 is inside, so piston should start moving forward. So for this, I told you we are going to, for pure pneumatic circuits, we are going to use pilot operated valves, right? So whenever A1 is sensed, this left position should become active. So we will put a limit switch connection like this. So whenever A1 is active, see, A1 is currently active, it is completely inside. Now, what is happening? Compressed air is going from this compressor and it will push this one active and then make this position of the valve active and the piston will move outwards. As soon as the piston reaches A2, what should happen? The piston should start moving inwards. To start the piston moving inwards, what should we do? We should activate the right position. To activate the right position, we will make this connection, right? And then for 1 and 3 also we need compressor. Over here we can either add this different compressor or we can use this compressor itself. Okay, so in this case I am going to add a different compressor. You can add as many compressors as you like, no problem. Okay, in this diagram only, in real life there will be only one compressor, but to make the reading of the diagram simpler, we can add as many compressors and exhaust as we like. This is simple to the kind of thing that we do in electrical systems, where we put large number of grounds. All the grounds are connected to each other, but we put large number of grounds anywhere to make the system more readable. It is a similar kind of a situation. Okay, so this completes my not completely completes, but this kind of completes my circuit. See, as soon as I start the compressor, what is going to happen? Piston will move forward, then backward, then forward, then backward. Okay, so I have achieved my A plus A minus motion, right? I have achieved my stamping operation. You can keep this vertical, this piston, and it will do the stamping function. Now let us see step by step how this system is working. Okay, first of all, let's see. Okay, so this is my initial circuit. As soon as I turn on the circuit, what happens? As soon as I turn on my circuit, compressed air has started flowing. Compressed air has started flowing from this compressor, and from this compressor. Currently the piston is at position A1, right? Let's see, initially nothing was active, then piston is at what? Piston is initially at position A1, na? So A1 limit switch is active. A1 limit switch is active. As A1 limit switch is active, what is happening? Compressed air is going upwards. Compressed air is going to this left pilot valve. Okay, so what will happen? Compressed air will go to this left pilot valve, right? Currently the compressed air for this direction control valve is going through this right side, but it will soon change, right? See over here, now what happened? Because of A1, the compressed air went over here, and because of that the position of this direction control valve changed. Now what will happen? Compressed air will go to the left side. As the compressed air goes to the left side and air from the right side is being exhausted, because of that the piston will move forward. Okay, so the piston has started moving forward. As soon as, see, just 1 minute, piston will start, now the piston starts moving forward. Now see, as soon as the piston will start moving forward, A1 will be deactivated. Now the piston has moved forward, na? It is not at its home position, it is not at its initial position, ekdam andar nahi hai. So what will happen? A1 will get deactivated. So see over here, A1 got deactivated. But just because A1 got deactivated, the air from here got exhausted, the position of the valve does not change. The position of the 5 by 2 direction control valve remains the same. Hence, compressed air is going to the left side only and the piston is continuing to move forward. Now what happens? The piston has nearly completed its motion. Again, when I push this arrow, the piston will have completed its complete motion. As soon as the piston completes its motion, what is going to happen? A2 is going to get activated, right? A2 is going, see, it has reached its extreme position. Now A2 will be activated. As soon as A2 is activated, what happens? Air from the compressor is going to the right side of this direction control valve. Right, from here compressed air is coming to over here. Now what will happen? This right position of the direction control valve will get active. Right, see, this got active. Because of that, what is happening? Compressed air is going to the right side, and the air which was compressed air which was inside the left side will be coming out to exhaust. Because of that, the pistons shall start moving inwards. As soon as the piston moved even a little bit inward, what happened? A2 got disconnected, A2 got deactivated. As soon as A2 got deactivated, it returned to its base position. So air from here is going to exhaust, but just because A2 has got deactivated does not mean that this valve will change position. Why? Because there is no air coming from left side, there is no air from right side. Why should this valve move? So the piston will now come inwards. Again, the piston comes inwards, it will activate A1. As soon as it activated A1, it again started moving. It again activated, changed the position, and the piston shall now start moving forwards. Again, it moved a little bit forward and A1 got deactivated. Again, it will move forward completely, activate A2. Because of A2, direction control valve will change. Piston shall start moving inwards. Piston moves inwards a little bit. A2 gets deactivated. Piston moves completely inside. A1 gets activated. Valve position changes. Piston moves outwards. So this will keep on happening continuously. And this is how you will get your A1, A2, A plus, A minus motion. Right? So hopefully you have understood at least the basic A plus, A minus motion of your piston cylinder. So now that we have completed the control of a single cylinder, now we will see the control of two cylinders, right? So first of all, what I will do, I will delete this completely. Now first of all, we will see how to control, what is the control strategy, right? For example, see, where can we require two cylinders? Let us say that there is some kind of a stamping process, but because the stamping can happen anywhere, first of all, it is necessary to clamp the object and then stamping can take place. So there is a piston cylinder over here, right? This piston cylinder is used for clamping the device. There is some kind of a clamping system over here, and this will clamp the device, and then there will be a piston cylinder at the top, and this will be the piston cylinder that actually does the stamping process, right? So what should happen? First, this piston should come outwards so that the object is clamped. Then what should happen? Then this should come downwards so that this is now stamped. Then this piston can move backwards and this can move backwards. So in this application, we can have what kind of motion? We can have first A plus. Why? Because initially this piston is going to move forward, outwards. So that is A plus. Then what is going to happen? The second piston is going to move outwards. That is what? That is B plus. Then what is going to happen? This piston is going to move inwards. So let that be A minus. Then what is going to happen? This piston is going to move inwards. So that will be B minus. So what kind of a motion do I want? I want A plus A minus B minus motion, right? Now, how will we write this in English? See, we can write this like, initially what should happen? Piston A should move forward, right? Should move forward. Till what time should piston A move forward? Piston A should move forward till it reaches extreme outward position, right? Now we know from our system what is the two limit switches that we used. One is for the inner position and one is for the outer position. For inner position we use A1 and for outer position we use A2. So what is happening over here? A2 will get sensed. As soon as A2 gets sensed, what should happen? A plus is A2 get sensed means what? That the piston has moved completely outwards. So A plus is complete. Then what should happen? B plus should happen. That means what? Piston B should move forward. Right? Piston B should move forward for how much? Till piston B reaches extreme position. Right? That should be the case. Extreme outward position. That means what? That means B2. If A2 is the extreme outward position for cylinder A, then B2 is the extreme outward position for cylinder B, piston B. Then what should happen? A minus. So piston A should move inwards. Right? Till what it should move inwards? Till it reaches extreme inward position. What is the extreme inward position? Extreme inward position is A1, right? As soon as A minus is complete, it has reached its extreme inward position. What should happen? B minus should happen. So B minus means piston B should move inwards. Till what time it should move inwards? Till it reaches its extreme inward position. What will be the extreme inward position of piston B? B1. After this, again, B1 means what? B minus motion has completed. Again, A plus should take place. So this cycle will continue. Right? This cycle will continue. So what should happen? First of all, A should move forward till what? It reaches A2. Then B should move forward till it reaches B2. Then A should move inward till it reaches A1. Then B should move inwards till it reaches B1. Now this entire thing in English can be written in simple diagrammatic form. How can we write this in diagrammatic form? See, first of all what? First of all, piston should move forward. That is what? Positive motion. Till what? Till it reaches A2. Then what should happen? B should move forward, means B plus, till it reaches B2. Then what should happen? A should move inwards, means what? A minus, till it reaches its extreme inward position, means what? A1. Then what should happen? Piston B should move inward, B minus, till it reaches its extreme position, B1. So this is what should be written. Now rather than writing it in this vertical form, we can write this in horizontal form. Okay, whatever is written over here, the same thing I am going to write in horizontal form. Right? What is written? A plus, then B plus. First of all, I will write the motions of the piston, A minus and B minus. And which are the limit switches? Between A plus and A2, we have the limit switch A2. So we write it like this. Between B plus and A minus, we have the limit switch B2. Between A minus and B minus, we have the limit switch A1. And between B minus and A plus, we have the limit switch B1. So we write it like this. Okay, so this is what we have written. This is what we have to make a circuit for, right? This is what we will make a circuit for, right? So keep this in mind. Whenever you are given a question, you have to find out the sensors or limit switches which come between these positions. So over here, now we will go and make our circuit. So our circuit is what? A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. So first of all, what do we need? We need two double acting cylinders. If we have to make control of two cylinders, then we will require two double acting cylinders. So this is my first cylinder. This is my second cylinder. What will I do? Just so that you understand this, we will give them names. Let this be cylinder A. Similarly, this will become your cylinder B. Right? As soon as you draw the cylinders, the next step should always be to draw the limit switches. Right? So we have cylinder A, cylinder B. We will draw their limit switches. So for cylinder A, inward is what? A1 and outward is what? A2. Right? So this is our A1, A2. Similarly for cylinder B, we will have B1 and we will have B2. Right? So this is done. Now what should be the next step? We have drawn cylinder A, we have drawn cylinder B. Now to control cylinder A, I will just bring it in center a bit. Now to control cylinder A, we require a 5/2 direction control valve, right? So we will draw a 5/2 direction control valve. Because this is a pure pneumatic circuit, it will be what? It will be pilot operated on both sides, right? We need a similar kind of 5/2 direction control valve for cylinder B also. So we'll connect this to this, this to this, this to this, and this to this. That's done. We have drawn cylinder A. We have drawn a valve to control cylinder A's position. We have drawn cylinder B. We have drawn a 5/2 direction control valve to control the position of cylinder B. We have drawn limit switches A1. We have just marked the position of the limit switches A1, A2, B1, B2. Right? So total how many limit switches? 4 limit switches. So we will require 4 limit switches. So this will be, what is the symbol for limit switch? This is the symbol for limit switch. I have shown this in the previous lecture. This will be one limit switch. This will be another limit switch. This will be the third limit switch. And this will be the fourth limit switch. So there are 4 limit switches. This is what? This is A1. Okay, currently it is just showing activated. Don't give too much attention to that. This is A2, this is B1, and this is B2. See, A1 and A2 are currently shown in active position because the piston is at A1 and B1. Okay, piston A is at A1 and piston B is at B1. That is why it is showing like this. Okay, but the symbol is same. Okay, so what we will do? We will put, where do we put A1, A2, B1, B2? See, to put A1, A2, B1, B2, we will use this diagram. See, this diagram. So, for A plus motion, which sensor should be, which limit switch should be sensed? B1. So, B1 produces A plus motion. How is A plus motion produced? A plus motion is produced when this valve's left position is active, right? When this left position is active. So we have to activate this position for A plus to take place. And when does A plus take place? A plus takes place because of B1. So what do? We take this B1 and connect B1 to the left side of this valve. So that whenever B1 is active, this valve will become active and A plus motion will take place, right? After A plus motion completes, what should happen? B plus should occur. For B plus to occur, which sensor must be sensed? A2. So what we will do? We will take A2 and put it over here. Okay, I will just move it over here. We will put A2 over here and connect it over here. Right? So because of this, what will happen? Because of this, whenever the A2 sensor is sensed, whenever piston A comes completely outward, A2 will be sensed. As soon as A2 is sensed, it will activate this left position, and because of that, cylinder B will move forward. After cylinder B moves completely forward, B plus, which sensor will be sensed? B2. And because of B2, what should happen? Because of B2, A minus should take place. So A minus means it will move inwards. So we will put B2 over here. Right? After B2 is sensed, A minus completes. After A minus completes, which sensor is sensed? A1. So A1 produces what motion? B minus motion. So we will put A1 over here. It will produce B minus motion. Right? So this is how the entire arrangement should be done. Now we have to put compressors everywhere. Okay. Ideally, there might be only one high compressor and one low compressor, right? But right now we will make many compressors just to make the diagram a bit easier to understand. Right? Ideally, there should be maximum one or two compressors. One compressor for both the 5x2 walls and one compressor for the 3x2 walls. Because the 3x2 walls are used only for switching. Right? The 3x2 walls are used only for switching. So it does not require very high pressure. But the 5x2 walls require very high pressure. So there may be either one or two compressors. It depends how your system is being designed. Right? But right now we can draw as many compressors and exhaust as we like. So that is what I am doing over here. Right. So now see, as soon as I start this simulation, see what is going to happen. Okay, I just forgot. Okay, I forgot over here the compressor. Sorry. Right. So as soon as I start the circuit, see A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. Again A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. So we will just see how this, but just before seeing, okay, first we will see, then okay, just one thing. See, as soon as I start my compressor, my cylinders start moving. Now I do not want my cylinders to start moving immediately, right? There should be some kind of an on-off switch with me, so that when I press on, the system will start, or when I press off, the system will stop. So what do I have to do? I have to put a start switch somewhere, right? So where should I put the start switch? I will put the start switch over here, right? Which is the first initial motion. Initial motion is A plus, right? Initial motion is A plus. So I have to put the start switch over here. I have to put the start switch over here. Now the start switch will be a kind of your switch, right? So rather than putting a compressor over here, what I will do, I will also put a 3x2 valve over here. Now this 3x2 valve will be a switch, right? This 3x2 valve will be a switch, and below this I will attach the compressor. So what happens, as long as the switch is not pressed, see, I will just show you. See, now even though I have started the compressor, the motion hasn't started because I haven't started the switch. Now if I turn it on, the motion will start, right? And then if I turn it off, the motion will stop, right? So this is how this system will work, right? So that is why we will put a switch over here. Now I will just explain the working to you in very short. First of all, what happens? First of all, I will push this start button. As soon as I push this start button, see the compressed air will start going upwards. Because the piston B is in its inward position, B1 is active. Because B1 is active, the compressed air will be able to go upwards. Okay, compressed air is going upwards. So compressed air will change the position of this 5/2 direction control valve. The position of 5/2 direction control valve is changed. Compressed air is going to left side, and from right it is going to exhaust. So the piston will start moving forward. As soon as the piston moves even a little bit forward, A1 gets deactivated. Over here A1 got deactivated. So piston A will continue moving forward. Right, now it will reach A2. As soon as it reaches A2, see over here A2 will change position. Okay, A2 changed position. As soon as A2 changed position, compressed air started going upwards. What is going to happen? This valve will become active. Okay, this valve became active. Compressed air will go to the left side. From right side it will come downwards. So piston B moves outwards. Now piston B shall reach B2. See, now B2 will become active. As soon as B2 becomes active, it will put compressed air from right side. So this right position of this valve will become active. Because of that, compressed air is going to the right side. From left side it is going to exhaust. So piston A starts moving inwards. Piston A, as soon as it completes its inward motion, what it will do? It will again activate A1. As soon as it activates A1, what is going to happen? Again, this position will be active. See, A1 is active. It will activate this right position of this valve. Because of that, compressed air is going to the right side. And because of that, cylinder B is coming inwards. As soon as cylinder B comes completely inward, B1 will be active. Again, because B1 is active, cylinder A shall move forward. Right? And this is how this motion shall keep on happening. So this was the example of controlling two cylinders. Now this was the basic method of controlling two cylinders. We will see how this motion fails and what is a cascading circuit in the next lecture. Okay, so thank you.